BTS news today. When BTS released their latest music video, the internet did what it always does best: it exploded. Within minutes, timelines flooded with paused frames, slowed clips, color-enhanced screenshots, and theories layered upon theories. Yet beneath the surface-level excitement and the immediate praise for visuals, choreography, and sound, something deeper began to quietly unfold. Fans didn't just watch the MV, they studied it. And as the hours passed, one narrative grew louder, more emotional, and impossible to ignore. This was not just another BTS release. This was a story. And at the center of that story stood Jimin and Jikook, woven together through hidden messages that felt too intentional to be accidental. From the very first seconds of the MV, the tone is set with an unusual stillness. The opening shot lingers longer than expected on an empty space bathed in soft bluish light. The camera slowly moves forward, almost hesitating, as if inviting the viewer to step into a memory rather than a performance. Then Jungkook appears, standing alone, his back turned, shoulders tense. The choice is striking. BTS MVs are known for dynamic openings, yet here silence and restraint dominate. Fans immediately notice that Jungkook's posture mirrors a scene from an older BTS era, one where vulnerability, confusion, and longing were central themes. It feels deliberate, as though the MV is reaching backward in time, asking the audience to remember. As the music begins, Jimin enters not from the same space but from a parallel one. The editing cuts between them without allowing them to share the frame. Jungkook sings into the open air, his gaze unfocused, while Jimin dances in a narrow corridor filled with warm light. The contrast between cool and warm tones becomes one of the MV's most discussed visual motifs. Jungkook's scenes are dominated by blues and grays, evoking distance, isolation, and unresolved emotions. Jimin's scenes, by contrast, glow with amber and gold, suggesting memory, comfort, or perhaps a past that still lingers warmly in the heart. What makes this contrast so powerful is how often BTS has used color symbolism throughout their career. Longtime fans recognize that blue often represents loneliness and searching, while warm tones symbolize connection and emotional safety. By separating Jungkook and Jimin into these opposing palettes, the MV quietly establishes an emotional divide. Yet it does not feel like a separation caused by conflict. Instead, it feels like time has pulled them apart, leaving echoes rather than presence. Midway through the MV, the choreography begins to tell a story that words never could. Jungkook's movements are sharp but restrained, as if he is holding something back. His hands repeatedly rise toward his chest, then fall unfinished. Jimin's dance, on the other hand, flows outward, expressive and open but tinged with fragility. At one point, Jimin reaches forward, fingers trembling, as if trying to touch something just beyond reach. The camera cuts immediately to Jungkook making the same gesture in reverse, pulling his hand away. The timing is precise, too precise. Fans notice that these mirrored movements occur exactly during a lyric about unsent words and things left unspoken. This is where the idea of an untold story truly takes shape. The MV does not show Jikook together, yet it constantly implies their connection through symmetry, timing, and emotional resonance. Even when they are physically apart, their actions respond to one another. It's as if the MV is portraying two sides of the same memory, replaying the same moment from different emotional perspectives. One of the most talked about scenes occurs during the second verse, when Jungkook stands before a large window streaked with rain. Outside, city lights blur into soft halos distorted by water. Jungkook presses his palm against the glass, his expression unreadable but heavy. Immediately after, the MV cuts to Jimin standing under actual rain, eyes closed, letting the water soak into his clothes and hair. The parallel is impossible to miss. Jungkook is separated from the rain by glass, unable to fully feel it, while Jimin stands exposed, experiencing it completely. Many fans interpreted this as a metaphor for emotional distance, one person shielding themselves, the other feeling everything. Rain has long been a powerful symbol in BTS's storytelling, often associated with cleansing, sorrow, and unspoken truths. In this MV, it feels like rain becomes the emotional bridge between Jimin and Jungkook. They are connected by the same storm, yet experiencing it in profoundly different ways. The untold story, fans believe, lies in that difference. As the MV progresses, subtle details begin to accumulate. Objects appear and reappear in different contexts. A ring placed on a table in Jungkook's room, then seen hanging from a chain around Jimin's neck. A notebook with blank pages shown beside Jungkook, followed by Jimin flipping through a similar notebook filled with crossed-out lines. These are not explained, nor are they highlighted by the camera. They exist quietly, rewarding attentive viewers. And it is precisely this quietness that makes them feel intimate, almost private, as if the MV is letting the audience glimpse something they were never meant to fully understand. Perhaps the most emotionally charged moment comes near the bridge of the song. For the first time, Jimin and Jungkook appear in the same frame, but not in the same space. The The screen splits vertically, placing Jungkook on the left and Jimin on the right. They face forward, not looking at each other, yet their breathing aligns, their movements slowing in perfect synchronization. The lyric at this moment speaks of waiting and hoping the other will understand. Fans around the world described feeling a sudden ache during this scene, as if the MV had finally spoken aloud what it had been whispering all along. The split screen dissolves just as the music swells, but instead of uniting them, the MV cuts to darkness. When the image returns, Jungkook is walking alone through an empty stage, lights flickering on and off. Jimin, meanwhile, sits backstage, tying and untying the laces of his shoes repeatedly. This contrast feels painfully realistic. One is out in the open, performing, moving forward. The other remains behind the scenes, caught in a loop of hesitation. It is here that many fans began to interpret the MV as a reflection of different emotional coping mechanisms. How two people connected by the same bond can respond to the same pain in opposite ways. As the final chorus approaches, the MV becomes more abstract. The sets dissolve into minimal spaces, colors blending into soft gradients. Jimin and Jungkook's movements grow smaller, more internal. At one point, Jungkook mouths words without sound and Jimin's voice seems to carry the melody instead. This choice sparked intense discussion. Was the MV suggesting that Jungkook's feelings remain unspoken while Jimin gives voice to what both of them feel? Or was it showing how one person sometimes speaks for two when the other cannot? The final scene cements the MV's emotional impact. Jungkook stands center stage, lights fading behind him as he looks directly into the camera for the first time. His expression is calm but unresolved, as if acceptance has come without closure. The screen then cuts to Jimin standing in the same position, but instead of looking forward, he looks slightly to the side, eyes soft, almost smiling through sadness. The MV ends without showing them together, without answers, without resolution. And perhaps that is the point. The hidden messages in BTS's latest MV do not tell a clear story with a beginning and an end. Instead, they present fragments, feelings suspended in time, moments that linger without explanation. For fans, especially those who have followed Jimin and Jungkook's journey for years, these fragments feel deeply personal. Jikook's untold story, as portrayed in this MV, is not about romance in a conventional sense, nor is it about conflict. It is about connection that endures even in silence, about bonds that persist even when words fail. In the days following the release, neither Jimin nor Jungkook offered direct explanations. They spoke only about expressing emotions and trusting viewers to feel the message in their own way. That silence only fueled the belief that the MV was meant to be experienced, not decoded completely. Some stories, after all, are powerful precisely because they remain unfinished. What makes this MV truly remarkable is how it invites the audience into that unfinished space. It does not demand interpretation, it allows it. Whether viewers see Jikook's untold story as one of longing, growth, separation, or quiet understanding, the emotional truth remains undeniable. BTS once again proves that their artistry lies not just in what they show, but in what they choose to leave unsaid. And somewhere between Jungkook's restrained gaze and Jimin's open vulnerability, between rain on glass and rain on skin, the hidden messages continue to echo, waiting, perhaps, for the moment when the story no longer needs to stay untold. The conversation around the MV did not fade after the first wave of reactions. Instead, it deepened. As days passed, fans began revisiting older BTS content, connecting threads that stretched far beyond this single release. Moments from past interviews, lyrics from earlier albums, and even subtle interactions on stage were suddenly re-examined through the lens of this new visual story. What emerged was the sense that this MV was not an isolated artistic choice, but a continuation of a much longer emotional timeline, one that Jimin and Jungkook have been quietly building for years. Longtime ARMYs pointed out how the themes in this MV echo sentiments Jungkook once expressed about feeling lost between expectations and personal truth. In previous eras, Jungkook often spoke about pressure, about wanting to be strong while still feeling uncertain. In the MV, that internal conflict appears visually instead of verbally. His restrained movements, his distance from warmth and rain, and his tendency to stand behind barriers all feel like physical manifestations of emotional self-protection. It is as if the MV allows viewers to step inside Jungkook's silence to see what words cannot fully explain. Jimin's role in this visual narrative feels equally layered. Throughout BTS's career, Jimin has been known as someone who feels deeply and expresses emotions openly, sometimes at great personal cost. In the MV, his vulnerability is unmistakable. He's the one who steps into the rain, who lets emotions wash over him instead of resisting them. Yet this openness does not come across as weakness. Instead, it feels like quiet courage, the bravery to feel everything, even when it hurts. When placed alongside Jungkook's emotional restraint, Jimin's presence takes on a new meaning, almost like the emotional memory Jungkook cannot quite reach anymore. One scene that continued to spark discussion appears late in the MV, when Jimin pauses mid-dance and looks down at his hands, as if surprised to find them empty. The camera lingers just long enough for discomfort to set in before cutting away. Fans notice that this moment aligns with a lyric about holding on to something that's already gone. Immediately after, Jungkook appears clutching his jacket tightly, knuckles white. The implication feels painfully clear. One is searching for what was lost, the other is holding on too tightly to let go. It is a quiet tragedy told entirely through body language. As theories grew more complex, many fans began to reject the idea that the MV was meant to confirm anything concrete. Instead, they argued that its true strength lies in emotional ambiguity. Jikook's Untold story does not present heroes or villains, nor does it frame one person as right and the other as wrong. It simply shows two people shaped by the same bond, struggling in different ways. That realism is what makes the MV resonate so deeply. It reflects relationships that exist in real life, connections that are meaningful even when they are incomplete. Another layer that fans explored was the role of time within the MV. Clocks appear briefly in the background of several scenes, always slightly out of focus, always showing different times. None of them match. This detail, easily missed, suggests that Jimin and Jungkook are not just emotionally separated but temporally misaligned. They are moving through the same story at different speeds, unable to fully meet in the same moment. It is a subtle but devastating idea, reinforcing the sense that their untold story is shaped as much by timing as by emotion. Music itself plays a crucial role in conveying this narrative. The instrumental arrangement grows heavier when Jungkook is on screen, layered with low tones and restrained beats. Jimin's scenes are often accompanied by lighter melodies, piano notes that feel fragile yet hopeful. When these musical elements overlap, they do not clash. Instead, they blend briefly before pulling apart again. It is as if the song itself is enacting the push and pull between them, allowing moments of harmony without letting them fully merge. What truly elevates this MV beyond speculation is how universal its emotional core feels. Even viewers who do not focus on Jikook as a pairing found themselves moved by the sense of longing and unresolved connection. The MV taps into a feeling many people know but struggle to articulate, the ache of caring deeply for someone when circumstances, timing, or personal growth create distance. By anchoring that feeling in Jimin and Jungkook's performances, BTS transforms a personal narrative into something widely relatable. As discussions continued, some fans revisited the final seconds of the MV and noticed a faint sound beneath the fading music, almost like a breath or a whisper. Whether intentional or coincidental, it sparked one final wave of interpretation. Was it Jungkook finally exhaling after holding everything in? Was it Jimin's presence lingering even after the screen goes dark? Or was it simply a reminder that the story does not truly end when the MV does? In many ways, that unanswered question encapsulates the entire experience. The hidden messages in BTS's latest MV are not clues to be solved like a puzzle with a single correct answer. They are emotional signals meant to be felt rather than decoded. Jikook's untold story as presented here exists in glances not exchanged, hands that almost touch, and words that never quite arrive. By refusing to give closure, BTS challenges the audience to sit with discomfort, to acknowledge that some connections remain meaningful even without resolution. It is a bold artistic choice in an industry that often prioritizes clarity and spectacle. Here, restraint becomes the spectacle and silence becomes the loudest statement of all. As time passes, this MV will likely be remembered not just for its visuals or choreography, but for the way it made people feel seen in their own unspoken stories. Jimin and Jungkook do not need to confirm or deny any interpretation because the truth of the MV lies in emotional recognition. Viewers recognize themselves in the distance, the longing, the quiet hope that something unspoken is still understood. And so the story continues not on screen but in the hearts of those who watched. Jikook's untold story remains unfinished, suspended between memory and possibility, reminding us that sometimes the most powerful messages are the ones left hidden, waiting to be felt rather than explained. Even after the theories, the debates, and the countless replays, something about the MV continued to linger in a way that was difficult to articulate. It was not just the imagery or the performances, but the emotional aftertaste it left behind. Many fans described feeling unusually quiet after watching it, as if the MV demanded reflection rather than immediate reaction. This response itself felt intentional, almost as though BTS had designed the experience to slow people down, to pull them out of the noise of constant content consumption and into a more introspective space. One reason the MV resonates so deeply is because it aligns with a broader shift in BTS's recent storytelling. Rather than dramatic revelations or explicit narratives, their work has increasingly focused on inner landscapes, mental states, emotional transitions, and personal truths that are difficult to explain aloud. In this context, Jikook's Untold story does not feel like a sudden invention, but a natural evolution. It reflects a maturity in storytelling, where emotions are trusted to stand on their own without being labeled. Fans also began noticing how the MV reframes silence itself as a form of communication. Jungkook's quiet presence is not empty, it is heavy with meaning. Every pause, every moment where he looks like he might speak but doesn't becomes part of the narrative. Jimin too communicates through absence as much as presence. His expressions often soften just before the camera cuts away, as if something important is about to be revealed but never quite is. This repeated denial of closure creates a rhythm of anticipation and loss that mirrors real emotional experiences. Interestingly, some viewers pointed out how the MV avoids traditional markers of conflict. There are no arguments, no dramatic confrontations, no clear turning points. Instead, the tension exists entirely beneath the surface. This subtlety suggests that the untold story between Jimin and Jungkook is not about something that happened, but about something that almost happened or something that continues to hover unresolved. That kind of emotional ambiguity is far more haunting than a clearly defined event, because it leaves space for imagination and personal projection. The absence of direct eye contact between Jimin and Jungkook throughout most of the MV became another focal point of discussion. When they finally do look toward the camera, it feels almost confrontational, as if they are asking the viewer to witness what they themselves cannot face directly. It is a powerful inversion of expectation. Rather than using eye contact to connect with each other, they use it to connect with the audience, pulling viewers into the emotional triangle of the story. In doing so, the MV blurs the line between observer and participant. Some fans drew attention to the choreography's increasing minimalism toward the end of the MV. Earlier movements are expressive and layered, but as the story progresses, gestures become smaller, more contained. This shift feels symbolic, as if the characters are learning to live with their emotions rather than trying to release them. Acceptance in this interpretation does not mean happiness or resolution. It means learning how to carry what cannot be changed. Another subtle but significant detail appears in the lighting of the final scenes. Shadows soften, contrasts lessen, and harsh edges disappear. The world does not become brighter, but it becomes gentler. This visual choice suggests emotional adjustment rather than emotional triumph. The pain does not vanish, but it no longer overwhelms. For many fans, this was one of the most comforting aspects of the MV. It acknowledged hurt without glorifying it, offering quiet understanding instead of dramatic redemption. What makes Jikook's Untold story especially compelling is how it resists ownership. It does not belong exclusively to Jimin and Jungkook as public figures, nor does it belong entirely to fans' interpretations. Instead, it exists in a shared emotional space, shaped by personal experiences, memories, and feelings.